Now we start sewing the decorative line of the cover, from the first small hole of the big hole here. Sew to this side, the small hole next to the big hole is 8 times the length of this section. Double. Twice 2 times. 8 times because we use double needle sewing method, so both ends of the thread need to be threaded with needles. After the thread passes through the needle, leave about 10 centimeters and pass the needle through the middle of the thread. Pull the short thread back, tighten the long thread again. Thread the other end of the thread in the same way. Go through the first small hole next to the big hole. Bring both ends together. The needle below goes up. The top needle goes down. This is the method behind. Have to be aware of is, when the needle below is passed upward, the positions of these lines should be consistent. In this way, the sewing will be neat and beautiful. After all holes are sewn, go back to stitches. The lower needle points upward. The upper needle is sewed downward. From the top needle down. Scissors cutting broken thread, flow about 2 millimeters. Burn it with a lighter, press it flat and let us sew the back cover. Take a line 6 times this length, double. Twice 5 times. 6 times. After the needle passes through the first hole, 2 lines aligned, the needle at the back goes up. The top needle goes downwards. This stitching method is also used on the back. The last stitch is done. Let's go back to stitches. The needle below goes up. The top needle goes down. Then pass this needle down again. Leave about 2 millimeters. Flatten it with a lighter. Next we insert the handle into the square buckle. Fold over. Same thing on the other end. Insert it into the box and fold it over. Then we measure 6 times the length of the foreskin of the handle, twice. 5 times 6 times. Fold the handle back over. Sew from the first hole all the way down. There are 4 floors here. When sewing, we can sew layer by layer. Needle. Go through the first hole. Pull the 2 wires to the same length. The needle below goes up. The top needle goes down. After forming a cross, tighten the 2 threads. Then sew a stitch back to reinforce it. Sew the top thread upward. Then thread this thread from bottom to top. Tension. Then continue sewing downwards. When sewing this hole, let's take a shot. Just insert it between these two pieces of leather, then sew it through. Continue to sew down. After sewing all the gaps, go back to stitches. The needle below goes up. Pass the needle down from the top. Then this needle. Pass through. Cut the guide wire, leave about 2 millimeters. Burn it with a lighter, then flatten. The other side is also sewed in the same way. Have to be aware of is to be reinforced with a back stitch. Then after the last stitch is sewn, 2 more stitches are needed to reinforce. Then we put the ear mounting through closure. Then start sewing. It is low times the length of the hanging ear and 1 time of the cable. 5 times 6 times. Pass the needle through the first pinhole on the side. Then the 2 lines align. The needle below goes up. The top needle goes down. This method will be followed later. Sewing all holes. Let's sew semi or stitches back. Leave both wires on the opposite side. Cut the guide wire. Leave about 2 millimeters. Flatten after burning with lighter. The method of hanging the ears on both sides is the same. Then turn the thick piece over. Take out our lock and click it. Then take out the gasket. Align the curved side with the hole position on top. Take out the lock and put it in. Screw it on with a screwdriver. Do the same thing on the other side. Next, place the hanging ear on the side. Take 2 times the length of the hanging ear and double the line. Fold the hanging ear 4 or 5 times. Through closure. Fold over. The needle goes through the first hole. 2 lines aligned. Pass the upper needle upward. Pass the top needle downward again. After the first stitch is sewn, need to go back a stitch to reinforce. Pass the lower needle through the first pinhole. Then wear it down. The needle is threaded upward below. The top needle goes downward. Repeat this method.